Welcome back to It's All Light. I'm your host, Natalie Baugh, and I'm a wannabe Southern accent person. I say y'all all the time. I've had at least 5 people be like, "Oh, what part of the South are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, that's just me pretending or wanting to be," and sometimes it slips out. Anyways, hi everyone. It's a little bit of a late night for me because I am human and I got caught up watching a few Instagram reels and laughing at them and putting this off. But I'm actually so excited to be here tonight with this Chat with Nat episode. Hopefully, it's like maybe morning for you. Happy Tuesday. And I took a poll on what you guys wanted to hear from today. And it was a tie between dating and decisions and dealing with change. So, we're going to just dive right in. There's so much that's been on my mind, and I'm hoping this will be a little bit organized so it's not all over the place. But we're going to start out with, dating, then decisions, then dealing with change. We'll do it in that order. So, to start off, I asked a bunch of people tonight their best at dating advice, and this is all from YSA single people. So some are interesting, some are great, and it's all from our own personal experiences and learning and growing in dating. So let's dive in. So someone said, be yourself from the beginning. Like, just be true to you, like, don't try to be someone else, because ultimately you just have to be you and they have to like you for you. I would add my 2 cents to that is learn to like people for who they are. Like, love someone as they are and for who they are, and don't try to change anybody, and that's a good thing, to look outward and just see someone for who they are. Someone else said, be clear about your intentions up front. So like, if you go out and someone is down but you're like not as serious as you are, like, be honest and try to get on the same page. It can save a lot of heartbreak. Someone jokingly said, lead with the tongue. Someone else said, just don't think of it as a huge commitment. Like, oh, it was a good date. Great. It wasn't. Either way, it was a good day. Like, take away the stress, take away the pressure, which is really hard to do, but that's something my mom has tried to teach me. It's like when I was going on lots of dates, she'd be like, oh, how was it? And I was like, it was fine. Like, she's like, well, did you have fun? I was like, yeah. Or if I was like leaning toward dating someone and hesitant about it, and she's like, well, do you enjoy being with that person? And like, did you enjoy your time with them? Then that's the next right step. Like, yeah, I enjoyed my time with them. Then give it another chance. And we'll talk about this more when I dive into some quotes from the Mary hymn book, Settling the Case for Settling for Mr. Goodenough. It's so good, and it goes through all of that. And anyways, just so good. Also, sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. Anyways, someone's saying just Utah dating culture can be hard, so just don't take it too seriously, and like, it's fine, the world's not gonna end, just keep going. Someone else said, from a dating show, like a Jewish dating show, it says, date till you hate. Like, if you're not having fun but not sure, just keep going. If it's good but you don't know, just keep going. Growing love is sustainable, versus that spark that might not be as long lasting. So someone said, take a break, because you can obsess on it, but if you just like take a break, focus on yourself, jump back in. I would add, serve others. Focus on others. Things will happen to you in God's timing. Like, that's probably one of the biggest aspects to us dating and being an active agent in dating, is just trusting God's timing while still actively improving yourself, serving others. And there's another tip down here too that someone was like, I think we'll get there in a minute. I don't want to scroll down too far, but just living your life. Like, don't wait to live your life. Like, start now. You don't have to have someone in your life to like start it, and then that'll just help you be more prepared. We'll get there in a second. But someone said, trust your first impression. Don't convince yourself of anything. Kind of trust your gut, which we'll get there. About decisions, I have no idea how to trust my gut, and it's so incredibly hard. So we'll get there. Let's see. You don't have to find someone the exact same person as you, but find someone with similar interests. Like, so you have something to do and always love doing together. I actually heard that twice. Someone else said there's like 3 main things. Are you attracted to them emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually? Is there something you both love to do that you can do for your whole life and always have that foundation? And then spirituality. Are you guys spiritually aligned with your goals in life and values? Don't overthink it. And I'm sure my first question was, okay, so how do you do that? And I think that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, like just simplify. Like, did I have fun with this person? Did this person make me feel good? Did they enjoy my company? And just breathe, right? I've been doing lots of breathing lately, and that just helps calm me down, so I'm not acting in anxiety. And then I'm a big journaler. Honestly, I've taken a few months off and it's stressing me out. But my therapist was like, maybe that's okay. You can just let be and it's okay. But I'm like, I need to journal. So I don't know. I'm working on a lot right now. Someone else said, let's see, be open-minded. Oh, don't feel like you have to go on the first date. Just be upfront. Like if there's someone who asks you out and you're like, actually not interested. I've heard the opposite too of like, well, give them a chance. And a lot of people said that too. So I don't know, maybe that goes back to trust your gut. But also I would err on the side of just try. You never know. Okay, be open-minded, but don't settle. Some people just want to be married. Check your expectations. It's a balance to find it. And you can work through things and be willing to compromise. Expectations are really hard, and I honestly think everyone's a little too picky. But then again, here am I. So I'm like part of the problem. But this book, Marry Him, has been so helpful in realizing what are the most important things to look for, and checking my expectations, as well as like I'm so imperfect too that someone's gonna have to put up with me, like not me just putting up with someone else. Like that's just part of the puzzle. Anyways, we're all looking for something we know we want. So many people think they have a type, so know your type to an extent, but be open because you might surprise yourself. So try new things. And then be patient was some advice. It can take time, and patience can be super powerful, especially with like people who, yeah, you had a good time with them, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see them again, like give it time. Sometimes that takes a while to develop, and that's a good sign because you're going to have to continue to develop your love your whole life, your whole eternity. So I really like that one. Another one said be patient and open-minded, because patience, like going into a relationship with someone who has different life experiences and different ideas of what love is and different expectations. And I just thought that was so powerful. No matter how similar you could be with someone and how similar of upbringings you have, I know that can help a relationship. There's still going to be so many different things and different ways you do things, different ways you think, different ways you want to feel loved. And it takes so much communication. So be patient and communicate through your expectations and your needs, right? We all have needs. And today at work, we were talking about depression and anxiety and loneliness. There was an amazing TED Talk, which if you want it, I'll link it. And it was just talking about overcoming loneliness and just like finding your tribe and finding those people to communicate with, and even like groups that just met and talked about life values, not even living them, like generally acclimated to that as they just talked and shared with others their similar values. Someone said be open-minded because like what are your deal breakers, but be open enough to get to know someone, and again you may surprise yourself. Someone said live your life not just for yourself, like while you're single, and being patient. Try to have purpose in your life. Serve. Your life doesn't have to wait to start. Do humanitarian work. Be spontaneous. No one's holding you back. And what do you want your life to look like? And then this beautiful quote, get ready. It's harder to go and try and catch butterflies, but if you plant a garden, butterflies will come to you. And if they don't, you have a beautiful garden. And I just am like, oh, that's so beautiful. And just remember that. Someone said, don't date someone for what they are, but who they are. I like that too. It's like, yeah, sure, they're an athlete, but like, who are they? That's not what they are. My roommate says, don't like a boy till he loves you, which I agree. And I think there's an aspect of we need, as women, we need that boy to pursue us. Like, that is just how it needs to be. I think the guy will always have to pursue more than the girl, but the girl has to respect, and it's a two-sided street still, but that feeling of pursuit, I think, is so valuable. I think it changes as you get older. Things just get harder as you get older, and easier, but like harder. And the book talks about that too. But yeah, anyways, so next tip, going on dates with people that you don't think you'd be interested in, because you really just never know. You have to get outside your box. Trust your gut, someone said. If you don't feel good about it, then your gut is correct and there might be a reason for it. So that's a good segue into decisions. Decisions. I think I need to go listen to that President Monson talk. Decisions determine destiny. And I honestly sometimes hate agency. Like, I remember on my mission being like, no one's choosing to listen to us. No one's choosing the gospel. No one's choosing Christ. Like, I hate agency, and I was like, I get where Satan was coming from, like, it'd be easier if we could just force people to choose to be happy, because that's choosing Christ, and if that was forced, then we'd be happy. But there is so much freedom in agency, and I've been learning how to be grateful with agency, and how to be grateful that we get to decide so much. We have power to decide, and our brain, intellect, our heart, our feelings. Anxiety is part of it too, and I'm trying to learn and understand how that feels. And man, I've been asking a lot of people their input on sometimes my personal things that I'm going through, but also just in general, how you decide, how you trust God, how you trust yourself. And yeah, something my friend has sent me. I'm just gonna read what she said, because it was so beautiful. This was my companion for my mission, and she's just the most profound person I've ever met, and so talented. So I am going through hard decisions right now with my personal life, and just having to make a choice, and two great choices, and it's hard. It's been really hard, and I'm trying so hard to move forward. So before I read hers, a lot of people are saying, like, it's okay. Whatever you decide, you're not stuck in that, but also, like, your choice is your choice. And Elder Bednar's Instagram live, go watch it. He was like, you sometimes might not know, like, it's until after the trial of your faith. So this is what Sweet Mary said. She said, have you ever made a big decision that you felt total peace about? Or do you feel like decision making just kind of provokes unavoidable anxiety for you? Because I was just trying to navigate, okay, is this anxiety? Is this me? Is this my gut telling me it's a warning or not? So she said, maybe it could be helpful to think about times in your life when you feel like you made the right decision, what that felt and looked like in the past. Are there common threads across your experiences making decisions that you now know were really great choices despite challenges presented when making them? So I think back to, I guess my most recent one was trying to decide which job to take. About 2 years ago, literally within an hour, I got 2 calls, both offering me a job, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to choose. And I was like, of course this would happen to me. This is what God does to me. He gives me 2 great options, and I'm like, okay, God, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn? And here I am again with 2 great choices, and I have to choose, and it is debilitating. You guys, it's so hard. And I love when I run into people and they're like, yeah, that is so hard. And I've had like 10 people say, I don't envy you. And I'm like, thanks. It's rough. Anyways, continuing on. So if every major decision has caused some level of anxiety, then don't take direction from anxiety when making decisions. The Spirit probably touches you in other ways to help guide you. Okay, so this is pretty spiritual too, but I think if you're not like super religious, spirituality is just still your inner self, right? And like the universe and higher power. So just think about that. So the Spirit probably touches you in other ways to help guide you, not through warnings delivered as anxiety. Try to think about other factors that have helped you make good decisions despite any accompanying anxiety in the past. That's probably how God urges you and helps you. Other kinds of feelings, thoughts, events, realizations that helped you decide even though the anxiety made it difficult. Maybe activities, things, people, places that comfort and calm me to escape the worries and feel more grounded, and then think, consider, and envision more clearly. So like getting out in nature, going for a walk, breathing. And then she added, it's so important to 100% trust God. And I think you're really good at that. Thanks. But it's also so important to 100% trust yourself. God gave us this life to experience, and that means not feeling like we can't do anything unless God explicitly tells us to. He gave you your life and your experiences to own and experience for yourself. It's very important to seek God's guidance in our lives, but once we know we've opened that door and are listening attentively to whatever God wants to tell us, sometimes God doesn't tell us what to do because it's important for us to make our own decision and learn from and love whatever it brings. God knows you and wants to do what's right and that you're seeking His direction. He won't abandon you, but He will give you space to allow you to fully experience what is yours to experience right now. Maybe God's already given you all the tools you need for this one, and now it's time for you to apply them on your own. You got this. Your heart's in the right place. Blah, blah, blah. And she just is like, you're doing good. That was so sweet. All the bumps and apparent detours are all part of your personal divine roadmap. So like whenever you're calm and clear, like going for a walk, you can think through things, see things in totally new ways, and come up with original ideas. So I just loved all those thoughts. Anyways, that was kind of like a big bulk of like a lot of the things I've been hearing about decision making. And I've been asking people like, how'd you decide who you wanted to marry and what was that like? And it's don't convince yourself. And it was easy. And above all, every instance, every circumstance is so unique. And I'm really trying to be like, okay, Nat, maybe for a whole week, don't talk to anybody about things I'm trying to decide, because I need to build this trust in myself and faith. And I need to sit down and write those times where I have trusted myself. Honestly, the only decision I can think of that was like easy and that I went forward with like 100% was my mission. Like I didn't even think twice about it. It was just something I knew I wanted and I did it. And I'm like, okay, how can I make other decisions in my life be like that? And I think any other major decision I've had in my life, I just spiral into complete, like, just a complete mess, like so bad, so emotional. And it's just like, okay, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to learn from this? Anyways, it was really cool. I've been trying to be better at my scripture study. For me, that's a way I can allow answers to fill my life, and answers most likely come in the form of other people as well. So I've been really careful of who I'm talking to. Well, not like in general, but who I'm telling my personal decisions with and their input, and then how I interpret their input. And just the scriptures open that way. And I kind of did the thing where, so I'm trying to stay with Come Follow Me, but also just I flip to a random page and see what verse stands out to me. Anyways, but today I was reminded that God will give us the strength to make decisions and to make our hard decisions, whatever it may be. It could be, do I move? Do I stay? Who do I choose to be my roommates? Who do I choose to find to date? How do I find people to date? How do I have hard conversations? God will strengthen us to act. And like, as we continue to take little steps, like in like Alma 2 verse 30, it was like being exercised with much faith. Like as we continue to exercise our faith, like when some situation comes, we're like, oh, I can do this because I've been exercised by much faith. And I thought that was super cool. And then my random flip, I flipped to a verse about, actually I should just open it, a verse about like faith, which I was like, perfect, this is what I needed. So it was Alma 57:27, and it says, now this was the faith of these whom I have spoken. They are young and their minds are firm, and they do put their trust in God continually. So then I was looking at the footnotes and all that stuff, and just like, stand fast, like keep the faith. Oh, the other verse I read was, I don't know where it was. Oh, 58:40, because that was one of the footnotes. And this one was great too, because it reminded me that like agency makes us free. And I was like, okay, yeah. So it says, stand fast in the liberty wherewith God has made them free, and they are strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. Their faith is strong in the prophecies concerning that which is to come. But their faith is strong, and they were strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. And that's been like a prompting I think I've been ignoring, of recording how I've seen God's hand in my life. And I know doing that helps you just see more miracles in your life and can create a pattern for you to then trust more. And for me, trusting God is learning how to trust myself, because most of the time when I have these decisions, the answer is, you got this. You can make a decision, and whatever you decide is to help you learn. And sometimes those decisions are not quote unquote right, but there technically is no right and wrong when there's good decisions. You know, obviously don't drink, don't do drugs, you know, that's wrong, and there is right. But like for those, that comes easy. But when it's like two good things, it's like impossible. It feels so impossible. So I'm trying to break that impossible barrier and think of what is possible in deciding, and what are my values? What do I want? You know, I even took a decision-making class in college, and I'm trying to remember what it taught me. But God will give us the strength to act, and He will give us the strength to remember that we will be delivered by Him regardless of where we go. And sometimes our choices are mistakes. I know we were talking about right and wrong, but even between right and right, one of them could be a mistake. Sounds kind of weird, but that mistake will just lead us to experience more growth, which is ultimately what we're here to do. We're here to grow, and it's a test. Tests are hard. Like, I'm going to get emotional. Anyways, so there's a reason faith is the first like principle and foundation of the gospel of Jesus Christ, but also just faith in humanity, faith in your life, and faith in the unknown, right? I mean, that's what faith is just moving forward even though you have no idea what's ahead of you. And I think just those little decisions get you there, and like God can't drive a parked car, right? So continually moving. I think for those who aren't God believing, it's still like you have to learn how to trust yourself and trust your gut. And what does that mean to trust your gut? And how do you feel peace in your life, right? I think that was another thing I've been trying to listen to, is like, okay, don't listen to the anxiety, but listen to the peace. And also like interpreting warnings and kind of like the messages I read, like think of times in the past that were clear, became clear in hindsight. Anyways, that's my spiel on dating and decisions. Actually, just decisions, that whole spiel. Back to dating real fast before dealing with change. I just wanted to read a few things from Marry Him. Just a few quotes that I underlined. This one says, oh, this one was a fun chapter. It was kind of like marriage is a business. And a lot of them are like lessons from matchmakers, and just like what happens when you're young and trying to find someone to date, and like what you focus on, versus like she was interviewing girls in their 40s like trying to find a husband, and how just difficult it was, and like what they wish they would have done in their 20s. Anyways, this book is incredible. But let's see. You both have to think that you got a good deal. This is in marriage and relationships. Long-term compatibility is about respect and common values and building something, not about judgment of imperfections. I think that's just such a good reminder of don't judge people too quickly, give them time, and just like key qualities is kind of what this section talked about. And then let's see, I'm almost done with the book, and I'm like sad because it was so great. There's another book she referenced called How to Stop Looking for Someone Perfect and Find Someone to Love. If you require that someone fulfill your perfect picture, you're in for a long-term relationship with your fantasies. Yes, true. I think I had a conversation with my friend about dating, and she was kind of like, I'm just waiting for it to like feel right. And I'm like, okay, me too. But I'm also like, I think it's powerful because we get to create what feels right. And sometimes that takes time and focus on that person that we get to love. And maybe I know it's easier for some people, but for me, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be that easy. Like, just with my my patterns, my track record, like I have to rewire my brain, shift my perspective, and just like find someone I want to love and just go for it, right? Oh man, I could talk about this all night, but I'm getting tired and I just have a few more quotes I want to share. So, sorry, I'm flipping to the page. There was another one by this Jewish rabbi that was so good. Dump the list, not the guy. No, seriously, if you want to read a good book, this is what I would recommend. Okay, I am having a hard time finding it. Sorry, give me 1 second. Hope you're having a great day as I find this quote. I didn't bookmark it very well. Okay, sorry for the wait. Okay, so this was her visit with the rabbi, her local Jewish rabbi. And she was like, how important do you think sparks are in marriage? He goes, it's interesting. A lot of people saying just like, I want someone I can be myself with, someone I'm comfortable with. But the same thing that you want in marriage, people don't like in dating. The same comfort and ease also translates into you're too comfortable and easy with me, you don't try. Which is it? Do you want exciting or do you want comfortable? What do you want long term? And then the interviewer, what do you think matters most long term? The biggest predictor I've seen of whether a marriage will work has nothing to do with sparks, but how similar two people's expectations are. If they have different expectations in marriage or very different upbringings that they haven't really worked through, it's going to be a struggle. And I actually think that kindness long term is the most useful and overlooked quality people should be looking for. Kindness. What is kindness? Like, I think kindness is seeing people as people, right? Like leadership and self-deception, like getting out of the box and seeing people for people. It is recognizing that someone might have had a hard day and that's why they honked at you. You know, like kindness is that extra step of not caring about yourself, but caring about others more than yourself. Anyways, and then she says, like, if you see a girl with a list of what she's looking for in a guy, what would you say? This girl is dreaming. Let's see. Would you say this girl is dreaming? And she was at 31, and he's like, you could be dazzled at 21. You can marry someone who has lousy taste, who's colorblind, who can't pick a painting. You could do that and be perfectly happy. And then what about physical characteristics? You're not going to date him. He's 4 feet 10 and a half. Something about height. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the gist of it. So he says, I think it works this way. Let's say there's a 50% chance that you could be with a guy who is 5 feet 9. That's a height you like, but it could go either way depending on what else he brings to the table. Now, there's probably a 5% chance that there could be someone who's under 5'4", but there's a chance. To immediately assume, I mean, maybe if you spend an hour with Danny DeVito or Robert Reich, all of a sudden you would say, you know what, this is somebody I actually could spend my life with, even though height is never going to be ideal. On the other hand, take someone who's unkind, there's a 100% chance that you won't want to be with him. So I'm saying, what are the real irredicables as opposed to the very unlikelies? And it seems to me the real irredicables are the character questions. So what's the character? Who's their character? What's their character? What's your character? That's something I've also been thinking about. Anyways, what do you think single people should think more about when they're dating? Well, I think that a marriage is like a construction in the sense that at a certain point in the marriage, you're no longer just married to the person, you're married to the marriage and everything that it means. The children, the past you share together, the friends you have, you're married to the whole thing. So it's not so much about the individual in a vacuum the way it is when you're dating. When I look at my wife, for example, I don't just see my wife, I see my daughter and the life we have built and our friends that we have and the things we've surmounted to get to this moment. And then the interviewer, are people who are holding out for exactly the right guy and people who are holding out for exactly the right guy don't realize this. And then the rabbi says, when people are dating, they don't know that. I mean, even if they know it in theory, they can't know it in practice. In the same way that people have all these plans for their kids, but they don't know what their kids will be like. The fact we had a girl instead of a boy makes our family a very different family than it would have been if we were to have a boy. And 6 months after my daughter was born, my wife had cancer, so we couldn't have more children. This is all part of what went into making the marriage what it is. And you aren't thinking about, is he tall enough or is she pretty enough so much? In some ways, I think all the qualities that seem so important while you're dating, they get overwhelmed by what happens subsequently if you build a life together. So then she says, what do you think about the idea of soulmates? He said, soulmates are a beautiful notion to believe in once it happens, but it's a dangerous thing to believe in before you've found the person you've decided to spend your life with. In reality, there are many people we could be happy with. It's just that your soul develops in different ways with different people. Oh, so good. Anyways, it goes on. There's so many good questions and answers, and I could just keep reading this to you because I love it. Anyways, and then there's just like the last few things are stories of girls. This one's like Claire's story, getting over myself. Claire was like a lot of women who seemed to have everything but the guy. She had no shortage of boyfriends, but couldn't find the one to spend her life with. Then something changed her. Anyway, so it goes through her story, and anyways, I could go on, and I didn't really get to dealing with change, but I think the biggest thing there is keep perspective, get outside the box. There's more to the story when you're dealing with change, and just keep putting one step in front of the other and focus on one thing at a time. That is something that has been on my mind a lot. I'm like, okay, what is that one thing? One thing I can do to be 1% better. And I'm getting my podcast back on, so that's the one thing that I'm like, okay, I just want to get this back on track. Anyways, you guys, thank you for listening to me ramble. I'm going to do another episode on dating and decisions because I have more thoughts that we didn't get to tonight. But no, you guys are awesome, and my tagline is spread the light, light the passion. Have a great week. Bye.